Good afternoon, and thanks so much for streaming with us today here in the 3 p.m. hour of Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, where we are in the midst now of a government shutdown. Live pictures here of the nation's capital, where lawmakers are working to reopen the government. It's been closed since midnight last night, and that means thousands of Georgia workers are being impacted too. So this is affecting us here at home as well. Deidre Dukes is live at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport this afternoon for us. Deidre, we're talking about people like air traffic controllers, TSA workers. I understand they're out there on the job today, but not necessarily getting paid.
That's right. They are not getting paid. I was told by the TSA spokesman who represents some 1,500 TSA workers here in the state of Georgia that he woke to news this morning that the federal government is officially at an impasse, shut down. He said that they did start receiving emails last night, kind of preparing them for the possibility. And of course, they woke to the reality this morning. Now, if there's any good news in this, that TSA spokesman Aaron Barker did tell me that they just got paid. And so he said they are okay for now. But the real concern is if this drags out like it did in 2018, they could find themselves in real financial hardship, saying that they'll know in 2 weeks if this is continuing and that paycheck doesn't hit the bank, that they are officially in a situation where they really are starting to see their livelihoods impacted in that respect. Now, he also told me that the mood is somewhat somber, as you might expect, because those here are saying not again. Some 1,200 TSA workers are employed here at Hartsfield-Jackson, and he said that they take their jobs very seriously here, and so they are hopeful that there will be some resolution to this before they face some 30-some days without pay, as they did in 2018. Here's what he had to say.
The average American citizen is living paycheck to paycheck, So one paycheck could be detrimental for any household at this point. And, for us to have a job where we're supposed to be secure, we're taking care of the traveling public, the American people, to have to be this pawn every year. We know this is happening every year. It's just sad. We don't like that,
Person that you spoke to there out at the airport, I guess what's on a lot of people's mind is, how this affects, only word I can think of here is the mentality of those workers at the airport. They know they're might not going to get paid while this shutdown happens, yet they're showing up to work every day. Morale, I guess, is the better way to put it. We're talking about air traffic controllers as well. So getting us through the airport, ensuring our safety as we leave the ground there or arrive at ATL or our nation's airports. Has it slowed down operations at all or affected the psyche out there of the folks who are working?
Well, they say they do take their jobs very seriously. I'm told that we didn't see folks not showing up for work today, that they are there doing their jobs. But at the same time, you have to imagine that it certainly is impacting morale here, because we were told last go around in 2018, things got so bad that folks had to decide, do I pay for medicine or do I pay for gas or food, gas to get to work. So I continue to work my job knowing that eventually I will get paid, even though as it stood during then, they were not getting paid. So I was told by Barker that some people actually would stay here at the airport in their cars because they did not have the gas money to go back and forth, and they wanted to report to work, and so that's how they got by. He said that they did lose some workers during that period because those TSA agents had to make difficult decisions and took other jobs because they had to put food on the table and had to pay their bills. But they do remain hopeful that this will not be a long impasse and that they will 2 weeks from now have those paychecks that they so desperately need.
Yeah, I mean, we know they're going to get paid eventually, but it's just, the uncertainty of this all among essential workers like folks out there at the airport who are trying to get travelers through, again, keep us safe in the midst of this government shutdown, which is underway now in D.C. All right, Deidre Dukes live for us out at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Deidre, thanks. Let's talk about what is open and what is not when it comes to this shutdown. Several services across the country are being impacted. Services including, like we just brought you, the airport, TSA workers, air traffic controllers, U.S. Postal Service workers, banks, courts, federal law enforcement agencies, all feeling the hit. They will remain open. That is the important part of all this during the shutdown. But you might expect some disruptions or delays with some of the services that we just mentioned. Tours of the United States Capitol, if you or your loved ones are headed up to D.C., the White House, the FBI building, they'll all be closed. The Smithsonian museums. Have you ever walked up and down the mall, as it's characterized in Washington, D.C., which is flanked by all the terrific museums up there? Well, they're going to be closed, or if not closed now, will soon be if this government shutdown continues. So lots of ripple effects out of Washington, D.C. as we discuss the impact of the government shutdown and how it's being felt by you and me. Of course, military operations will continue amidst this government shutdown, and that means the Air Force exchanges where you can buy stuff are going to remain open. There's one out at Dobbins Air Reserve Base. I don't know if you're familiar with it up in Cobb County. If you've traveled up I-75, it's right off the highway at Dobbins. Our Chris Rosenthal is checking that out for us today.
Well, I'm at the Exchange store on Dobbins Air Reserve Base. This is one of many exchange stores across the state at 8 bases in the state of Georgia. And as you can see, despite the shutdown, the store remains open, and all the stores, all 5,000 across the country, will remain open. These are, if you've never been in one, it's like any other store, really. I mean, we've got a electronics section here, and we got candy for Halloween, and gift cards, and and groceries. And so these stores will remain open through the shutdown. And I talked to store manager Estella Golston just about what these stores are, why they're important, and how they're able to remain open. For those of us who are not military and who don't shop at an exchange, what is an exchange store?
An exchange is for our military families or soldiers, airmen, that's located on an installation of Fort Benning, Dobbins, any other base in all of the other states that's accustomed to them and their families. We are a non-taxed organization where they come and purchase goods and services.
I mean, looking around here, I mean, it looks like a regular store like any other store. I mean, tell me about the things you can get here.
Absolutely. We get anything from our clothing, health and beauty aids, alcohol, tobacco. Our main focus are our military clothing stores, where we are the only place where they can come to get their military uniforms and supplies that they need.
So it's an important store, important resource for soldiers, veterans. I mean, who you guys serve the soldiers, veterans, the wide range, correct?
Absolutely. Soldiers, airmen, their families, veterans, and their retirees.
So serving or not serving. And we're, in a shutdown now. But as we're standing here, you guys are still open. How is it that you guys are able to stay open?
The exchange will remain open during this federal government shutdown, primarily because we are a non-appropriated entity to the Department of War. And that means that over nearly 100% of our goods and services come from the exchange.
Gotcha. So you guys are self-funded by the money that you earn as a store.
Yes. Yes.
So you're not relying on that federal funding. And why is it important that you guys stay open? If you guys had to shut down, what would that mean?
That would mean that we are not serving our mission as we go where they go. Our mission is to support all military. So that's what we're doing. And we've always done that for 130 years. And that's what we intend on doing.
So military servicemen, retirees, and veterans, they can continue to shop at their local exchange despite the shutdown, including this one here in Dobbins. Back to you.
All right, Chris Rosenthal out at the Army Exchange out at Dobbins Air Reserve Base. How the shutdown's affecting operations there doesn't look like much. Things are up and running. We mentioned the United States military keeps operating, of course, under the auspice of the government shutdown. We're going to hear from folks at the White House. The vice president spoke on the shutdown today, but we want to take you to breaking news right now. We're getting live pictures from Skyfox 5 of quite a scene on Buford Highway. This is just north of Lenox Road on that Buford Highway corridor between Lenox and North Druid Hills Road. And this is the situation that's unfolding there. You could see the roadway is entirely shut down. Again, just north of Lenox Road, the crime scene tape is up. What we understand is a possible shooting. We don't know the nature of the investigation, but that is what we're hearing unconfirmed reports of at this time. There is heavy police presence there, and that roadway is shut down. So police investigators are on the scene. Brookhaven police there have surrounded the area and have shut it down while they try to figure out the circumstances which led up to what happened here. Joined by meteorologist Jonathan Stacy now.
Would I be out of order if I jumped in, Tom?
Not at all.
No, I just was on Buford.
Yeah, so step in a little bit closer to me.
I was trying to get back to the station after taking a bit of a break, and I'm coming down, and this would be going, I guess, south and to the west, headed toward closer to Midtown, but not quite. And as you approach the liquor store there that's just on the side, the road was blocked off in all directions. Now, what I could see from my vantage point there, and we have some video that I may have sent in about 10 minutes ago, is that there appeared to be 2 MARTA buses that are also nearby.
Okay, are they stopped and within the crime scene?
Within that cordon area,
Gotcha.
So within the yellow tape. So kind of a situation that's evolving here in trying to determine exactly what happened involving this particular vehicle, but then you have the antecedent issue of the traffic, and this is just the wrong time.
So I'm hearing from our executive producer, Cal Calloway, there is glass shattered in that vehicle, what appear to be bullet holes in the side of that car. There's the area that you just referenced, Jonathan. If you're kind of familiar with Buford Highway between Lenox Road and North Druid Hills Road,
yes.
It's right there. There's a huge liquor store there. It flanks I-85, that busy I-85 corridor. So you were in that area. You shot some ground video on your phone. Not sure if we had a chance to ingest it yet, but you saw all of the activity there on the road.
Yeah, it was kind of a surprise because, as you can see here with the Skyfox 5, that
so there's your video right there on the bottom.
So you see it just came in. Yeah, so that was my vantage point there, and I believe that there is a Brookhaven City office in that area. The offices have since relocated to North.
Used to be the old
Hills.
courthouse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and then you have the Greens liquor store that's just across, and so traffic is being turned around. Thankfully, at this point in time, given that we're about an hour away from the start of rush hour, the road is not congested. But give it an hour or so as they continue to investigate. This is going to be snarl traffic in this area, especially on the other side as you approach Cheshire Bridge, and we were seeing those stalls. In fact, I had to turn around Buford, go all the way back up to North Druid Hills, and then I got off on the exit for 85 to get on Cheshire Bridge, which is just one exit down as you move to the south and to the west.
So you were coming down Buford south toward the Lennox Road, Cheshire Bridge corridor.
Exactly.
And then you ran into that and they turned you around, because I was wondering where they closed it. I'm assuming they shut it off at Lennox Road and Cheshire Bridge so that people wouldn't make that right.
And I was seeing people do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's near the storage facility there. I think I have the name of it. Just to kind of give you a
the storage right on the corner.
Extra space storage. Yeah, you see all the orange there.
Where I hate to say it, but there have been other shootings in that area. Yeah. So not that they're connected at all, but I'm just saying there's been a history of violence there. Again, just to bring you up to speed, if you're just joining us here on Fox Local on our stream, joined by meteorologist Jonathan Stacy, who just happened to be in the area, pulled out his phone, started shooting video of the scene that's unfolding here. What appears to be a shooting, because we heard reports that there are bullet holes in that vehicle that's on the roadway there, and markings of what appear to be gunfire on that car. And Brookhaven police shutting off the whole Buford Highway corridor to try to determine what happened. And we see one vehicle on the road. Question is, are there others involved here?
Yeah. We'll definitely be asking more questions as we go throughout the afternoon.
All right, Jonathan, we'll continue to stay on top of the situation. Want to take a live picture of the United States Capitol building, getting back to our coverage of the government shutdown, where lawmakers are working. They've been working since after midnight last night to avoid this shutdown, but it happened unsuccessfully. There was some action at the White House today where they're trying to work with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to end this thing. Caroline Leavitt, the spokesperson, and the vice president stepped out to the podium today. Let's listen to what they had to say.
First, I just want to share remarks of my own. Democrats in Congress have officially shut down the United States government. House Republicans passed a nonpartisan, clean piece of legislation to extend current government funding until November 21st. But nearly every single Democrat senator voted against this bill. To be clear, this was the exact same bill that Democrats approved 6 short months ago in March, just adjusted for inflation. This is the same kind of clean funding bill that Democrats passed 13 separate times when they held the majority during Joe Biden's administration. So the American people woke up this morning and asked the obvious question: why is the government shut down right now? The answer is pure partisan politics being played by the Democrat Party. The Democrats shut down the government because President Trump and the Republicans will not force American taxpayers to pay for free health care for illegal aliens. America is $37 trillion in debt. We cannot afford to provide taxpayer-funded free health care to illegals who broke the law to enter our country.
Democrats say that they care a lot about lowering health care costs, and yet when the president took historic action to work with the drug companies to lower prescription drug prices, the Democrats did nothing to help us. In fact, we would have loved to have the Democrats helping us, but they didn't. They talk about doing something. They don't actually do the hard work of making it happen. What they have done instead is to shut down the government because we won't give billions of dollars to health care funding for illegal aliens. That is what has actually happened. To the American people who are watching, the reason your government is shut down at this very minute is because, despite the fact that the overwhelming majority of congressional Republicans and even a few moderate Democrats supported opening the government, the Chuck Schumer AOC wing of the Democratic Party shut down the government because they said to us, we will open the government, but only if you give billions of dollars of funding for health care for illegal aliens. That's a ridiculous proposition. Let me say two other quick things, and then again, I'll take some questions. Number one, we all understand that Democrats and Republicans have policy disagreements. The Democrats want to do things. Look, when Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries were in here a couple of days ago, they made some suggestions that the president was more than happy to say, yes, let's sit down and talk about how we can solve the health care crisis that we inherited from the Biden administration. But it's one thing to say that we should solve the health care crisis for Americans. It's another thing to say that we're going to shut down the government unless we give the Democrats every single thing that they want, which, as Caroline says, says includes giving billions of dollars of taxpayer funding for health care for illegal migrants. That's ridiculous. You don't have policy disagreements that serve as the basis for a government shutdown. Let's have the conversation about how to fix American health care, about how to make health care more accessible. As the president showed, he's more than willing to act on behalf of the American people for this very reason. What you don't do is say, unless you do exactly what we want to do as congressional Democrats, we're taking a hostage. And the hostage, it turns out, is critical, essential services that the American people need. Caroline talked about some of it. Let me talk about some more. Our troops are not getting paid starting today because of the Chuck Schumer wing of the Democratic Party. We have people who require food assistance, low-income Americans who require food assistance, who will not get it unless we reopen the government, thanks to Chuck Schumer and his wing of the Democratic Party. We have flood insurance as we start hurricane season in the southeastern part of our country. That flood insurance is going to disappear because of Chuck Schumer and the far left of the Democratic Party. We need to reopen the government. Let's fix America's problems. Let's work together to solve them. But let's reopen the government before we have our negotiation about health care policy. That's what the American people demand, and that's certainly what the President of the United States wants. Let me make one final point. I think a lot of Americans are asking themselves, why did this happen? Why did the Democrats shut down the government despite, as Caroline said, voting on the exact same piece of legislation 6 months ago? And there are a lot of different spins that we can put on it, a lot of different answers that we could give, all of them true. One answer I already gave is that they want to give health care benefits to illegal aliens. That is true. They gave us legislative text that would have undone us cutting off health care benefits for illegal aliens. That's one of the things that they asked for. But the reality here, and let's be honest about the politics, is that Chuck Schumer is terrified she's going to get a primary challenge from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The reason why the American people's government is shut down is because Chuck Schumer is listening to the far left radicals in his own party because he's terrified of a primary challenge. So I'd invite Chuck Schumer to join the moderate Democrats and 52 Senate Republicans, do the right thing, open up the people's government, and then let's fix health care policy for the American people. Questions?
All right, that's Vice President J.D. Vance. Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary at the White House today, talking about the government shutdown, blaming folks on the Democrat side, specifically Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer for their part. The Democrats came out today in their own news conference, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries saying that they have issues with Obamacare and other entitlements that they would have liked to have used the opening with this government shutdown to address. And they are challenging Republicans, saying that's not happening. As we take a brief pause, I want to take you back to that breaking news right now and live pictures from Skyfox 5 of the scene on Buford Highway. This is sort of a wider shot where you can see I-85 as well. Buford Highway is shut down between Lenox and Cheshire Bridge Road and North Druid Hills Road as Brookhaven police investigate the possibility of a shooting involving that vehicle that you might be able to see parked there on the side of the road. We're going to continue to stay on top of that situation, find out exactly what happened and the traffic impacts that that's having on that busy area as we continue. A little more. Oops. Welcome back to the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Thanks so much for streaming with us here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haynes, joined by meteorologist Jonathan Stacy, busy at work, tracking our forecast this afternoon. Boy, if you've stepped outside today, it is spectacular. We had a beautiful morning, Jonathan. I feel like the cooler mornings are lasting a little bit longer. It started to get warm like 11, 12 o'clock outside, but who's complaining? It still feels good out there.
No complaints over here. What a way to start out the first day of October. After all, we have serene blue skies, a big contrast into what we dealt with yesterday and even Monday, in which the clouds were just so thick and low, it looked like it was going to rain at any point in time. And there were a few communities that got some passing showers, but by and large, all of that is in our rearview mirror. But as that action slides to the east, there's a battle between air masses, high pressure and low pressure, and that is driving the winds. And so, in fact, within the past couple minutes, we've had a wind gust at Atlanta, Hartsville, Jackson of 23 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
We've seen wind gusts throughout the day top 25 miles an hour, and those winds are going to be a common factor in the forecast as we go through the next couple of days. So everybody everywhere is in the 80s with the exception of the mountains. They're in the 70s, not too bad. We're still above average for this time of the year. So the winds may back off a bit over the next 12-hour period, not as aggressive this evening as they will be tomorrow. In fact, when we wake up tomorrow morning, we will find some neighborhoods, or a few, are in the 50s. So that fall-like feel will definitely be felt in the air. And as you mentioned, Tom, yeah, it's starting to stick around a little bit longer. And that's because we are now at the time of the year in which we're dealing with more darkness than we are light in terms of the day. So we now no longer have 12 hours of daylight. We have 12 plus hours of darkness overnight. But we're caught between Imelda, a Cat 2 storm at this moment, and an area of high pressure, and that area of high pressure is stubborn and it's not going to move anywhere anytime soon. In fact, it's going to keep us dry, but as it battles for space and land, it's going to really drive up our wind. So tomorrow morning is going to be really gusty and breezy, very windy throughout the day. Gusts could easily top 30-35 miles an hour. So ladies, hairdos, not the friendliest conditions. Tom, you got to watch out for that.
But it's not humid outside.
Yeah, it's not humid. So those northerly winds are coming in, driving in some dry air.
Windy. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to keep the winds around for not only Thursday, but also for Friday as well. So as we take a look at your 7-day forecast here, not too much to get excited about. Unless
I'm excited. It's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. And I say excited as in like anxious.
Okay.
In terms of making you smile and wanting to get outside, I think it is beautiful for the next 5 days to come. Maybe throwing in a few clouds and showers for Sunday going into Monday. But by and large, we are getting a sample of fall in the feel of the air and in the look of the sky.
So I'm just kind of focused on Saturday and Sunday. That's when most people have all their activities planned.
Yeah.
Just like a little bit of clouds out there this weekend? Or?
Yeah, just a few clouds. Basically, the moisture is going to start to creep back up, and as it creeps back up, we'll add some more clouds to the sky. And I think there may be enough moisture to work with by Sunday or Monday to give us a passing shower or two. Now, there is an indication that next week could be rainier than this week. Rain in October, what? Yes, our driest month climatologically speaking. So I don't see any big-time rain chances, especially without tropical activity coming close. But overall, it's a pretty nice forecast.
And before you go, I know we're not setting the clocks back until early November.
Yeah,
and I noticed, because I'm on this schedule, I'm waking up earlier and earlier, like 7:30 in the morning. It's still kind of dark outside. So the mornings are getting darker longer, correct, until we set that clock back?
Exactly. You can see it here. I pulled this up. So here are your sunrise. Sunrise today was at 7:32. Sunset at 7:22. So in terms of daylight hours, that's like 11 hours and 50-ish minutes. Meanwhile, we're dealing with 12 hours and maybe 10 minutes of darkness overnight. So we're at that point in time, and this will be the case all the way through the winter equinox.
All right, Jonathan.
Excuse me, the winter solstice.
The bearer of some good news for us this week. Jonathan, thanks. We want to talk about somebody who you all know, Georgia's native son. He is the late president of the United States, Jimmy Carter. He's getting a commemorative postal stamp. with his picture squarely on it. There was a big dedication ceremony today at the Carter Center. All of Carter's family were there, and so was our Tyler Finger. Tyler, this is really cool and certainly worthy. Jimmy Carter getting a postage stamp.
Right. I mean, he is known for pretty much everything he did after the White House, his humanitarian work, and he is being remembered in a uniquely American way. He was honored with a U.S. postage stamp today on what would have been his 101st birthday. We are showing you the big unveiling that happened here at the Carter Center this morning. Mr. Carter is now stamped in ink and bound for mailboxes nationwide. He joins a select group of Americans honored by the United States Postal Service. Leaders at USPS say it is their hope that the stamp will serve as a reminder that one person guided by principle and empowered by compassion can indeed change the world. Jimmy Carter's Forever stamp features a 1982 painting of former President Carter by Herbert Abrams. It debuted Wednesday on what would have been Mr. Carter's 101st birthday. It's truly a tribute that travels. The Postal Service played a central role in President Carter's life, and that role started early. From postcards from his uncle inspired a young Carter to join the Navy to love letters to his beloved wife, Rosalind, while he was at the Naval Academy. His family says his love for the mail never faded. Jimmy Carter's grandson, Jason Carter, was on hand for the big event today. Take a listen to what he told us after the big unveiling.
It's his first birthday since he passed, and it's a wonderful way to celebrate. I mean, we're very excited. We all love the stamp, and it's good to have such a good group of people together to celebrate him. I think one of the greatest things about this stamps is that if you put it on your wedding invitation, it almost guarantees a 77-year marriage.
I think everyone would hope that a 77-year marriage would be possible with a stamp on your wedding invitations. That remains to be seen. But if you're interested in buying one of these stamps, the Postal Service says you can get it at post offices throughout Georgia, especially here in the Atlanta area. But the best way to get it, where you're going to guarantee that it's available, is if you go to USPS.com/stamps. That's where you can buy it and have it delivered directly to your door, so you can use them or just keep them if you want. I believe they come out to about $15.60 for a booklet of 20 stamps. Right now, the stamps are currently 78 cents a piece for Forever stamps. We should also mention today on what would have been Jimmy Carter's 101st birthday, a new documentary was released which looks at how his years-long efforts to help eliminate guinea worm. We have all the details for that on our website, fox5atlanta.com, or since you're watching on our Fox Local app, just navigate over to the story and you can find it there as well.
Tyler, I'm just looking at first of all, I'm looking at the extraordinary scene behind you. So peaceful, so tranquil. You're surrounded by trees there at the Carter Center. It's such a beautiful place to visit. Take me inside that ceremony today. You know, there's always sort of a reaction, and you see it when the presidents are there in the White House seeing their portrait unveiled, and they look at it and they're kind of like, whoa. But when they unveiled that stamp, the family members all sitting around, what was the reaction like in the room?
So there was a two-pronged question there. I don't think you realized what you were asking me. I'm going to mention why it's so tranquil out here, and that's because the government is shut down and the presidential library is closed here, which means no one can visit.
It's still pretty nice.
Furloughed for people working at the library, so it's a lot quieter than it should be or would normally be if the government was open. The question about actually inside that unveiling ceremony, I will tell you, it was a standing room only crowd. Every chair was full. I would say there's probably at least 150, 200 people there. A lot of members of the Carter Center staff, the Postal Service were there on hand to be able for this unveiling, along with, as you mentioned, members of Carter's family. I think everyone who was there was just excited to see it. Obviously, what they unveiled, the video we showed you at the beginning of this piece, it was obviously a life-size version of a stamp. You know,
sure.
I'm not going to put that on an actual envelope. It's going to be like this big. Actually, I did grab in my car. I did grab a booklet of them because because obviously this is one of those historic stamps. Not everyone gets to have a stamp, and he is Georgia's native son. But I think a lot of people who were in the room felt the meaningful moment because this is his first birthday since he passed a little less than a year ago on what would have been his 101st birthday. And this is kind of like a nice present to honor a former president. And as you know, when we covered his death extensively on Fox 5 Atlanta and on Fox Local, his legacy is way more than his 4 years in the White House.
For sure.
It's this place right here, the Carter Center, and then their work that extends throughout this world and throughout this country.
You know, it's so incredible how one person could have such a profound impact in so many segments of their life, right? I mean, Jimmy Carter was a state lawmaker here. He was governor. He was president. And then, as you said, in his post-presidency, having a global reach and impact for so many people.
Did you mention Peanut Farmer?
And well, yeah, even before that, right? You're going way back now.
Humble roots.
And by the way,
literally,
cars or no cars, open or closed, that is a beautiful piece of property that you're standing on there, Tyler. Thanks so much. When we come back here, I don't know about you, but have you seen those gigantic spiders around in your yard? I mean, in your house, they seem to be all over the place now. People are sending pictures to each other. They have the big yellow backside of them, and you wonder, like, is this thing poisonous or what? We're going to talk about that spider with an expert as we continue here. Welcome back, everybody. Boy, it's been a busy day of news today here in the 3 p.m. hour of Fox Local. I'm Tom Haynes, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. We've already covered a lot of ground here. If you're streaming with us on the app, watching from the app on your home TV or on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the car listening to us on the radio, 107.9 HD2 FM, we welcome you as well. Well, talk about a sensational fall from the highest levels of local government. Former Buckhannon Mayor A.J. Scott has been sentenced for the death of a teenager and the injury of two others back in 2015. He got 20 years from a judge and will serve 10 for that deadly crash that killed that teenager. Scott, a former state trooper, was convicted back in August on multiple charges, including vehicular homicide and serious injury by vehicle. We were inside the courtroom today as prosecutors laid out before the judge why a stiff sentence was justified.
During his interview for the pretrial investigation report, the defendant stated that he had wished it had been him and has wanted to apologize to the victims and their families for the past 10 years. These sentiments seem hollow in light of the fact that while the jury was deliberating during the first trial, a handwritten note was sent to the prosecutors that said the defendant would plead guilty in exchange for dismissal of the remaining charges. And in addition, the note demanded an apology from the district attorney's office and an admission that the defendant was not responsible for the injuries and the deaths be sent to all local news agencies. A stunning lack of remorse. This was a senseless and avoidable tragedy brought on by a member of the law enforcement community in complete disregard for the tried and true protect and serve.
Some very compelling words there from the prosecution in this case, who said that A.J. Scott was speeding without his cruiser lights on or sirens when he crashed into 17-year-old Isabella Chinchilla, killing her and seriously injuring Dylan Wall and Ben Franklin. So A.J. Scott, the former now mayor of Buchanan, will be in prison for the next 10 years of his life. It's a story that we've been following here for quite some time, reaching its conclusion today. The family, as you can imagine, gratified that they can finally close this very, very painful chapter in their lives. Well, I talked about it just before we took a brief break. I've seen them out there. Have you? These big spiders and these huge webs on the side of your house or maybe a building that you're walking by, the spiders with the big yellow tails on the back of them. What are they? Well, they're called a Joro spider, I should say. And I wondered, like, if I touch this thing, is it poisonous? Is it venomous? We wanted some answers, and so we sent our Eli Jordan looking for them.
Hey, there's nothing itsy-bitsy about these spiders. The Joro spider entered Georgia, they think around 2014, and we are really seeing them explode across the region this year. And I am here with Tim Ivey of Evans Termite Pest Control. Tim, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks.
And so tell me, have you been getting a lot of calls?
A lot of calls.
And how prevalent are these spiders around Georgia?
Well, they used to not be as bad, but here recently they have exploded in numbers. This year alone, I've gotten about 70 calls to remove their webs and nest away from my clients' homes. They continue to do this. They're going to be gone about the end of November, and then this batch of adults will go away and they won't overwinter, but the eggs will. And the female can lay 400 to 500 eggs, and she will attach them to flat surfaces, tree barks, under leaves, and any good surface where she thinks that nest or those eggs can overwinter for next spring. And next spring, we're going to have a lot more.
And you're called ballooning, right?
Yes, sir.
What is ballooning?
That's when the young spiderlings or baby spiders, what they'll do is they'll cast out some webs and they will catch the wind, and they can travel many, many miles, which means they are going to spread much further than Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and they've already been seen as far north as Maryland, which means wintertime won't be such a big deal for them in the coming future.
So I guess the big question is, are these guys poisonous? Can they hurt us?
They cannot. They're quite docile. In fact, you can hold them, they won't bite you, they can't hurt you. They will, that's why they're doing so well in urban environments where your native species won't stick around from all the vibrations, the lights, the changing and noises. These guys, they're gonna do just fine. That's why you're finding them more and more in your urban environment.
So we don't know the effects of our native species that these guys will have, but so far they're rather beneficial, correct?
They are. Globally, they have eaten 400 to 800 million tons of insects. That is a lot of bugs. So they are beneficial, but yes, very creepy.
So, not everybody wants to have spiders around.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, there's been tales of hummingbirds actually getting trapped
Yes, sir.
in their webs, because I mean, these are strong webs. These are almost like small fishing lines almost. What can a homeowner do to make their house property less attractive to this, just to keep these guys away?
Sure. Watching the lights around your doors, because that's where your bugs are going to be flying up, and these guys know that that's where dinner's going to be. So they're going to set up shop in your walkways. Also cutting limbs and trees back away from your home, making it so that they can't attach so easily to your property. And then simply going around weekly and just knocking down the webs will discourage them from coming back. You can also use a natural product of essential oils to discourage them from rebuilding on your home. It's always a good idea to just kind of keep things clean, just a little more housekeeping this time of year when it comes to these guys.
So, I mean, if I consistently knock their webs down, will they start to think about, hey, let's go somewhere else?
That is a helpful tip. Will they stop? You know, there's so many this year. It's hard to say, and there's a lot of studies still going on about these guys.
And overall, what should we do? We just kind of, grin and bear it and just kind of get through it and just accept these as just the new norm?
Yes, sir. In fact, a lot of entomologists have decided that this may be the new norm, and this may be a part of our lives every single year. They start early in May as little guys, and then as September gets here, the females mature sexually, and then about November, they start to glue and attach their eggs. So, and like I said, 400 to 500 eggs per female. We're going to have a lot next year.
Will typical pesticides take care of these guys?
They will, and they will discourage them. But we also need to understand that most pesticides that we use them for the reason of discouraging bugs, not necessarily to kill them. And the spider stands above the pesticides where other bugs drag part of their body through it. And the pesticides will attach to the hairs on the legs of these other bugs, which will then be introduced to the bug when it cleans itself. The spider doesn't have antenna. He stands above this material. So basically just cleaning up the webs constantly will help reduce the amount that is happening around your home.
And you mentioned, people might be, they want their pollinators to stick around.
Absolutely.
And those pesticides, they'll knock down the pollinators,
They
right?
will. They'll discourage them and possibly kill them. So again, as a professional, we try to discourage the bugs from actually coming to the property as opposed to just killing them. The idea is to use a repellent to say, you don't want to be here. And typically, the bug will go away.
And I guess all in all, the biggest danger of these guys is, I guess, the fear factor of it all.
Exactly. Welcome to Halloween. We're going to have a good one this year.
Yeah, perfect timing for Halloween, right? You don't need to put those cobwebs up on your bushes. You got the spider crawling around outside your house. So the takeaway here is not dangerous, not venomous. They won't bite you. Their teeth aren't big enough to penetrate your skin. And they might actually be good for the environment, right? To catch other bugs and mosquitoes in their webs and keep them from flying around your house. So this spider is a good thing for our community. Thanks to Eli Jordan for that. As we continue here, I want to take you live to Truist Park up in Cobb County, where we got some big news from the Braves today about their manager. What is in store for Snit and the team as we continue? Welcome back. Hey, thanks so much for streaming with us today here on Fox Local. Tom Haynes, joined by Fox 5 Sports' Justin Felder, with huge news from the Braves today, and its manager Brian Snitker announcing this is going to be his last season with the organization, at least on the field. Justin, what's happening with the Braves and Snit?
Yeah, announced just this afternoon that he is retiring, stepping away from his managerial role after 9 seasons leading the team, of course, including a World Series title, 6 consecutive NL East titles. He also took the team to 7 straight playoff appearances. So, Tom, it was something we were asking about all year long, right? What's going to happen? Snit, he's 69 years old. He's been in this organization for 49 years, and throughout the season, every time we asked him, what are you going to do? What's next? He said he hadn't really thought about it. And today he said after the season ended, wasn't a season how they wanted exactly. He was able to sit down, spend some time with family, think about it. And he said this was the right time.
Well, it's good that he was in the driver's seat, seemingly. You never know what happens behind closed doors. But this was a guy who was beloved not only by the organization and our community, but by the team as well.
Being in the organization for so long and working his way up, I think, is something that earned him a lot of respect from the players, from all over the organization. He managed in the minor leagues in Myrtle Beach. He was with Gwinnett when it was the Gwinnett Braves and the Gwinnett Stripers. So working his way up, and what you hear from players a lot was that he was a player's manager. He really let them do their jobs, trusted them to do what they needed to do to be successful.
We heard from him today, Justin. I know you're going to tee up this sound from Snitker, but give us a little bit of what he said.
I think it was the emotion that stood out, Tom, is this isn't a guy who gets too high or too low, and you could hear it in his voice, got a little bit choked up, had some of his players in the front row, had some of his family. Take a listen to what some of Brian Snitker had to say during that press conference earlier this morning.
Just give me a minute. You know, 3 years ago, I signed the extension. And this, you know, when I signed it, this was to be my last year. And I was kind of excited about it because I thought, well, you know, it's going to put a reality to it. And I was really good with it. I was very appreciative that, you know, honestly, I never thought I'd manage one day in the major leagues, let alone 10 years. I never thought I'd hoist a trophy. Or be around a group of guys that that makes this so special. Because, you know, it's about the players. And we've been fortunate here to have probably the greatest group of players, coaches, the whole building is, and I said this after we won the World, it literally takes a whole building to do something special. And I've been blessed to be around great people within the Atlanta Braves organization. Everybody in that clubhouse, the player, it's about the players. God, the relationships and the friendships that I'll have the rest of my life for that group or the players, and it's so special. I'm excited to continue to be a part, and I saw a couple of them the other day, and it's like, you're not getting rid of me. You know, I'm still going to be here. I'm going to be in spring training. I'm excited about this new role. Until, and this is the truth, until like the last 3 weeks of this season, I know you can ask the coaches, I talked about, you know, this being my last year, you know, but I think when you're sitting in this seat and you're in the heat of the battle,
Yeah, and one of the things Snit said today was, if you wait around for the right time to retire when you're totally sure, you're never going to do it. I mean, he's somebody who was still successful at the highest level. His players still had such admiration for him. But he said after spending time with family, taking a step back after the season concluded this past weekend, he felt at peace with this decision. And like you said, Braves fans, you're still going to see him. He'll be down in Northport for spring training. And the Braves announced today he is going to go into the Braves Hall of Fame next season. So he'll get a proper send-off before a game, and the Truist Park crowd will get their chance to show their appreciation.
Real quick, how do you fill those shoes? Like, who steps in and takes this team where they need to go after this?
It's a great question. You have some options who are on the staff, like a Walt Weiss, who's been one of Snicker's top assistants for a number of years. You have some former Braves players who've been assistants around the league, like a David Ross, who a lot of people are going to point to, that have history with the organization. So it is a coveted job. This is a team with a lot of talent that many expect to be contending for championships in years to come. And you heard Snit say right there, the organization, the infrastructure, the fan support is something that I think a lot of managers are going to be very interested in.
It's interesting. What a storied career as manager. He's seen his ups and his downs. He's hoisted that trophy. No wonder he's getting emotional as he gives this speech that he's kind of opening this next chapter in his career.
And when he took over in an interim basis, fans were wondering, this guy's just going to manage for a couple weeks, a couple months, then he'll probably go back to the minors. 10 years almost in a World Series later, here we are.
Just seems like an all-around good guy, too.
Great for us to deal with. Always a professional, generous with his time, always a smile on his face, and I'm sure we'll see him around. Won't say we're going to miss him, because we'll still see Snit.
All right, Justin, thanks. And thank you for streaming with us here on what turned out to be a really busy day of news here on Fox Local and in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. I'm Tom Haynes. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow. The news continues right here, right now.